Last night we watched Beetlejuice and we're back to review it. A good thing about this movie was, well, I liked how the goth girl could see the ghosts. It was an interesting plot, but since it was made in the 80s, it didn't live up to the horror movie standards.
I'm here to do the cons. It had really bad graphics, but that was to be expected because it was made in the 80s and they're not as good at graphics now as they were before. It says it's a horror movie, but this is not a horror movie nowadays, whereas in the 80s this would have been scary. Now we'll probably just say it's a comedy.
I'm here to do the first impressions. The movie was a little bit silly, but I sort of understood the concept of it. Although it looked a bit fake, it was overall not a bad movie for an 80s horror film.
The music was about the only thing that was scary in the scary scenes. Without the music, the movie wouldn't have been scary at all.
Now for our ratings. I rate this movie 3 out of 5 as it had a cheesy plot, looked very fake, but was overall pretty funny.
I rate this movie a 2. The graphics were pretty terrible and the plot was cheesy, although I think it had a good comedy parts to it.
I rate this a 2.5 because it had terrible graphics, but it was occasionally funny.
I rate this movie a 1. I didn't really like the movie, but it was boring. But back in its day, it would have been a classic.
I add in here, though, that I recommend you watch it if you like comedy and paranormal.
Beetlejuice is not a horror!
And that's all for this review. See you next time.
Bye!
Bye!
Peace out.
This video was brought to you by
Sophie
and Ally.